So, what is the best evidence that Rey is actually Luke Skywalker's daughter? Oddly enough, it's not even from the movie itself. And yes, there is a lot of evidence to suggest that she is going to end up being Luke's daughter. But it actually comes from an interview done with Kathleen Kennedy a few months before The Force Awakens even came out. Now, if you don't know who Kathleen Kennedy is, she's the president of Lucasfilm. She was handpicked by George Lucas to fill this role. She's basically worked with him for years, so she is the top dog. She is the top woman right now over at Lucasfilm, making all the calls. She did an interview that basically stated that the saga films or the trilogy films, the episodic films, whatever you want to call them, will continue to be the story of the Skywalkers. So, basically, episode 1 through 3 was the story of Anakin. 4, 5, and 6 was the story of Anakin's redemption and the story of Luke Skywalker. And so far, 7, 8, and 9 appears to be the continuation of Luke and Leia's story, as well as the story of Kylo Ren or Ben Solo. Now, that's all fine and good, but the problem we have is when episode 10, 11, and 12 come around, and you better believe there will be a 10, 11, and 12, and there'll probably be a nice gap between 9 and 10 would be my guess, filled with plenty of anthology movies. Who is going to be the Skywalker in that saga or that trilogy? You can make a case that it'll be Kylo Ren, that either he'll still be a bad guy or whatever he is, a Knight of Ren or eventually a Sith. You can make the case that he'll have a child during this trilogy, which not impossible. But I tend to believe that Kylo Ren is not going to be redeemed, and he's not going to get out of this trilogy alive, and he's probably not going to have a child. Now, the reason I don't think he's going to be redeemed is because, well, as you know, he killed Han Solo, and I know Anakin can butcher a room full of kids and be redeemed eventually, but killing Han Solo is a whole other ball game. I don't think fans want him to be redeemed. I think fans want him to be killed, and I think he will be killed in this trilogy, and I think it'll be Rey that does it. So that leaves us with who's going to be the next Skywalker? Who is the one who carries on the legacy? Who is 10, 11, and 12 going to be about? I think the only obvious answer right now is Rey. She is the main character of this movie. The main character. And as Kathleen Kennedy said, the movies are about the Skywalker family. To me that is the greatest proof that she is a Skywalker, because I don't think this trilogy is necessarily about Kylo Ren. I think it's going to be about the two of them and how they're both going to train and both going down their own paths, one down the light side, one down the dark side. And as I said, I think in episode 8 you're going to see Kylo Ren beat Rey, which I'm sure is going to make a lot of people happy who were just outraged about the outcome of their first encounter. And then of course in episode 9 you're going to see the opposite. You're going to see Rey not only beat Kylo Ren but actually finish him off. But that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is we need a Skywalker for 10, 11, and 12. And unless Kylo Ren has a child somewhere, or does have a child eventually, unless Han and Leia have another child that they just didn't mention at all in episode 7, or Luke himself has another child that isn't Rey out there somewhere, we need a Skywalker. And that Skywalker right now looks like Rey. She's either going to continue to be the main character in 10, 11, and 12, or she's going to have a child that will be the main character in 10, 11, and 12. And of course, this does leave us with a few questions, and one glaring one in particular, that being why and how Rey ended up on Jakku in the first place. Now, I don't think Luke left her there. I don't think Luke would, hey, here on Carpla, here's this little girl, and then fly away and go live in solitude. If he was going to abandon her somewhere, it would be somewhere a little that would make more sense than that, unless he was trying to harden her the same way he grew up in a kind of a backwater, harsh planet. It could be that Luke's, the mother of Rey left her there. It could be that she was kidnapped by somebody. Luke Skywalker has plenty of enemies and just left her there to basically die. It could be that Kylo Ren left her there. I've read a theory or heard a theory that when he was killing the rest of the Jedi, he couldn't bring himself to kill his cousin and just dropped her off there. A stretch, but maybe. I mean, if you read the novel version of The Force Awakens, he seems to know who Rey is at some points. You don't get that impression so much in the movie, but so there's a lot of possibilities on how she ended up on Jakku. I just think in order for the trilogy, in order for the saga to make sense, you need your main character to be a Skywalker. That's basically what Kathleen Kennedy herself said. And yes, Kylo Ren could be our main character, but again, you need another Skywalker going forward. And I don't think it's either going to be Kylo Ren or the offspring of Kylo Ren. I just think he's irredeemable, and he's going to be killed in this movie. All right, well, that is my evidence. I think it's pretty clear at this point that there is going to be another Skywalker in this trilogy, and I think that Skywalker, at least right now, all signs point to Rey. Now, you can agree, you can disagree. Feel free to leave some comments below. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be putting up all kinds of videos for Rebels, Rogue One, Episode 8, everything. I cover all things Star Wars, so if you enjoy Star Wars, subscribe and join the gang here at Conja Club.